What you're about to hear is a conversation between John Harridge, Education Solutions Specialist for the AEC Solutions team at Autodesk, and Ute Poerschke, Associate Professor in the Department of Architecture at Pennsylvania State University. In this segment, John asks Ute what were the reasons for using BIM in her studio course. He then asks what were the reasons the School of Architecture made the decision to transition to BIM. Are the students able to go back and rework their models? And finally, what implementation successes or challenges were unforeseen in the past Design Studio offering?
What were the reasons for using building information modeling in this specific studio course?
Perhaps I would say in general that I think that our architecture profession has eventually realized that we must better react on the complex requirements of design, and that we must carry this complexity into the studio setting. And since BIM is one way of organizing this complexity, and therefore I think it should be introduced in studios on all year levels.
From a historical context, I know this wasn't the first time building information modeling was used at Penn State University in Design Studio, and I think everyone would be curious to know what were the compelling events or reasons for making the transition to building information modeling.
So I have implemented BIM in my classes for the last 3 years, but in our School of Architecture and Landscape Architecture I'm not the only one. In our cooperative studio with the Landscape Architecture Department, for example, we use BIM tools, as well as in our digital fabrication classes, for example. We also planned a collaborative studio with the engineering fields, for example, with construction management and structural engineering, and we'll start that next spring semester. Since BIM is an organizing tool, it makes always sense in a cooperative studio or in a studio where you include additional topics, as for example environmentally responsible planning or historical preservation. And we started thinking of adding this information, make the studio more complex, and this is why we also looked into BIM.
Please describe how building information modeling was used in the design process for simulation, visualization, and or analysis. Can you touch upon how did analysis inform students' designs?
In my experience, there are different levels of competencies that the students gain when they learn BIM. On the very basic level, the students use BIM just as a computational drawing or modeling tool. Then on a second level, the students learn how to add or to gather additional information in their BIM model, for example, a daylighting study or a room list or a list of historical elements that they might have integrated in their design. And after that comes a final level where the students have learned how to prepare the BIM model for a use in other applications. So this can be Autodesk software for better visualization, for example, as 3ds Max. But this can also be additional analysis software for energy simulation or construction management, or students are highly interested in digital fabrication. So I experience these 3 levels of competencies during a semester when I work with the students.
From an analysis perspective, were the students able to simulate an iterative design process where they created the computational model, they took it into a daylighting analysis tool, were informed of what their baseline was? Did they have the opportunity to go back and revisit their design and make a change and try it again?
Yeah, I mean, it's always difficult starting from scratch, but students are actually used to this even more than faculty is used to that, so perhaps the faculty must also catch up here. I think that the students in this class get a first impression of how BIM can work as an organizing tool or as an assistive technology in the design process, and they exercise that for the first time. So in the technical systems class, they hopefully learn that integration is a strategy for designing and that BIM can facilitate this integration. But they are perhaps a bit better prepared than for practice where they actually have to do that.
Can you touch upon what implementation successes or challenges were unforeseen in this past Design Studio offering?
I was actually surprised how quick the students catch up these new technologies, and they really experimented with that. So this made me aware that I for sure want to continue this and look further into what are the students able to catch up or to take up. Perhaps on the negative side, there's still this problem with interoperability that we have for so many years, and that will be still a thing in the future that we must look at.
For more information, visit www.autodesk.com/education.